With more than a decade of national and international play, Team USA had to look no further than two-time Paralympian Joe Delagrave as their new head coach. Delagrave brings a wealth of experience, knowledge, and leadership to the team as they prepare to take on the world's best heading into Paris.
All right, Joe, so you've been taking on the role of head coach. This is a gigantic responsibility. Are you feeling pressure?
Well, I think anytime that you're going to the Paralympics and with USA on your chest, there's pressure there. But I think it's one of those things where you got to embrace it, understand what what it is, and for a lot of our guys, we had 6 new first-year Paralympians on our team out of the 12. And so I think there's a few guys that you feel your pressure of maybe being your last one or maybe being wanting to get to the top, and then some new guys that it's their first go about. And so really as a team, I think we're just focused on us and trying to focus on being the best we can be come August.
Before we get into who the players are that are on the squad, everybody always talks about Chuck Aoki. Chuck being, such a mentor and longtime player that obviously these young guys will be looking up to. What does that veteran mentality bring to a squad like this going into the games?
Yeah, I mean, Chuck's a generational talent. A record 4th Paralympics for him as a player. And so he brings a certain amount of what the standard is. And I think, he's obviously he wants to win a Paralympics as well. And so I think you just bring it away, what do you do on the day-to-day, how you're training, how you're eating, what that looks like. And so for those guys to be able to look at him and see what he does on the court, off the court, I think he does a great job of being able to train, being able to be dominant in his role. And then I think what's been really cool with him is finding a purpose and a voice for himself off the court and trying to just help people understand what disabilities are, what being in a wheelchair is like, and making sure that he's a role model for those young kids coming up.
Joe, there's such a fine line between a really good player and a really great player. What do you look for when you're selecting a team?
Yeah, I think that it's not just about just raw talent. It's not just about function or what you can bring as an individual player. It's can they play 4-on-4 really well? Can they play as a team really well? I think there's a difference between someone that's just out there playing one-on-one and a difference between someone that's gets the intangibles of being a part of a team, whether that's on the court, off the court. But so I think we've got a great mix of that and understanding that we're better together 4-on-4 versus just Chuck versus the world type of situation. And he brings those guys in and makes them better around himself as well. And so I think we've got a good mix of that, and really was looking for guys that want to have high character, high integrity, but also can be really good teammates.
Exactly what I was thinking was you're probably outside of that skill level in the chair and out on the court. It has to be a little bit about attitude, what you bring to the table. Like you said, there's a certain integrity for a player to reach that level.
Yeah, I think, to be able to reach this level, people have to understand what their roles are on the court. And we do a lot of that in our one-on-one meetings each week and talking about what the expectations are for them in their role, whether they're the 12th guy or a role player or a starter. Their roles are defined. They have the expectations set out, and then can you carry those out? Are you okay with that role? There's a lot of guys in the national team that want to, they want to play 32 minutes a game. They want to play the entire game. But they might play 8 one game, and they might play 20 another game. And are they okay with that? Are they ready to go when their number's called? And so we've done a great job, I think, of setting that up. Captains understand that and lead with that athlete voice too. So I think we've got a good thing going as far as that goes. Low point play is huge, especially elite level and then international level. It's big and goes unnoticed a lot to the naked eye. That's first looking at the game, you see the Chuck Aokis and people flying around and falling out of their chairs and jumping back up and doing some cool stuff. But really, those 0.5s, 1s have to be really dominant in their roles. And so, on our national team, Jeff Butler's like that. Leaf-Fredette's like that, where they're just really, really talented at their role. Setting everything up probably goes unnoticed. It's kind of like that center in football that you're just like, okay, whatever, guard in football that constantly sets up the run game, and they're just like, wow, that running back's really good, and no one's looking at the guard or the center. So, yeah.
2021 ended in a loss to Great Britain and a silver medal. Has that created a rivalry, and how bad did that sting as a player?
Yeah, I think, that loss in the gold medal game in Tokyo, for me, honestly, personally, I had a lot of peace with it, just from a personal standpoint. Being cut in 2016, coming back, was a captain throughout that whole quad. I was really, really proud of that silver medal, to be honest. A loss, whatnot, and then as far as that rivalry goes, I think we've had a lot of close games with GB over the last quad. Adam Scaturo, who was a player for me at World Championships, teammate of mine for a long time, an assistant coach there now, and so I think that's heightened the rivalry a little bit. But really, I mean, this Paralympics is stacked from 1 through 8, and so we every team is probably going to look like a rivalry. It's going to be really tough.
Speaking of which, quick breakdown of which one of those teams you're going to have to. I mean, it's hard to say one team. Japan, Australia, Canada, Great Britain. The list goes on. Who you having to really isolate right away as you jump into the game?
Yeah, I mean, the tough part right now is we don't know our pools. We won't know our pools till June. So, what those other 3 teams will be in our pool, but. Really, I think, the big names with Canada, Australia, Japan, GB, France is really good. And I think they're a sleeper team still. And then Denmark is really good too. I mean, they beat Australia first game at the Tokyo Paralympics. And they're a really solid team. And I think some people, you can't fall asleep on those guys. So I think we're prepare well for every team that we face, making sure that there's no trap games there.
And just for a little bit of fun, reflecting back on your career, hardest hitting player you've ever witnessed in the game?
Hardest hitting player. I mean, for me, I think it's going in the Wayback Machine, but 2008, Joel Wilmoth. He was around for a quad, won gold in Beijing, but he was the hardest hitting guy that I faced in 2008, 2009. So it still probably have to be him, yeah.